Hello, everybody. Welcome to the OSEA Small Cohorts Parent Orientation, hosted today on Wednesday, October 7th. Let's dive right in. And for just FYI, for anyone that has any questions throughout the presentation, feel free to jot down your questions. For the end, we'll have an opportunity for Q&A, or feel free to use the chat box to put your questions in there. So you've probably had a chance to see this image here. It's basically our four-step stage plan to fully reopen, as you've seen and experienced pre-COVID. This was board approved a few weeks ago, and essentially I want to take the time to just dive right in and walk you through each of the steps high level so you can kind of get a sense of where we're at today. But just keep in mind, as we continue to be flexible, adaptable, and compassionate with each other, there's room for changes here. As we all know, we live daily changes during the COVID pandemic, so we just want to be prepared for you, or we want you to be prepared for these possible changes. So step number one is where we're at today, 100% distance learning or remote learning from home. This is a combination of daily live instruction and independent coursework. Starting on Monday, October 12th, and our board recently approved us being able to move on to the priority cohorts. Here, students with the highest need will access a distance learning program from OSEA. Of course, there's going to be several health and safety protocols in place, which we'll talk about today in a couple slides. A couple of things with this stage is we're going to get a chance to test out the facilities, test out these health and safety protocols, and be able to pivot, grow, and continue to ensure that we keep the safety of your child and our staff as a first priority. So the other piece that we'll be eventually starting to pilot, and as you can see on the screen here for step number 3, it reads expanding to capacity, and I'll talk about what that means in a moment. But this stage here is what we call the AB cohort in-person stage or model, where up to 50% of the OSEA students would learn at OSEA on a rotating schedule. So basically what this means is that at any given time or day, 50% of the student population will be on site, while the other 50% is at home learning the same curriculum. And so there's obviously some challenges there, right? We've got, a teacher that's dedicated to a specific classroom, and the 50% of our students are here. How are we going to ensure that the other 50% of students at home are getting high quality instruction, right? So those are the pieces that we need to work through, and which is why it says here expanding to capacity starting in November, and with the ultimate goal being being able to move to this stage starting in January. We will be doing some pilots around technology and just some concepts around what this could look like to ensure that we're ready to move forward to this stage when it's safe to do so. So step number 4, it reads full in-person plus restrictions. So here, obviously we don't have enough data to be able to provide you with some concrete timelines or wish list dates or months here, because there's several factors that go along with this step here. This assumption here is that 100% of the students would learn at OSEA with continued use of technology for blended learning based on any challenges that we face with positive cases of COVID or staff being out. There's a lot of operational challenges that come into play here, which is why we want to continue to push the use of technology for blended learning. Here, of course, we will continue to utilize health and safety protocols through this step. Of course, they would be amplified because we would be welcoming back 100% of the student population on site. And the final step, our target goal is, the pre-COVID era, which we all miss, right? This would essentially be having 100% of the students back at OSEA. Of course, continue to use we would continue to use technology for blended learning. We've invested a lot in different platforms, technologies, hardware, software, right? So we want to continue to maximize those tools to continue to be efficient. And of course, with regards to health and safety protocols and procedures, there would be no restrictions, because at that point, essentially, we would be back to normal, if you will. There's a vaccine, there's therapeutics, things like that. But of course, there's no timeline for that, because as you've all heard, there's been a variety of timelines being thrown at us here in the USA. So let's dive into just a high-level overview on what we're going to be discussing today. So obviously the purpose being we will be taking a deep dive into phase 2, which is our small cohorts program, which essentially would represent about 4% of the population here at OSEA. So just know that, we're being conservative with moving to this stage, but also being mindful that there is a certain need for our parents out there and our students, which is why we're excited to be able to move forward to this stage. Which is bullet point number 2, right? We want to ensure access, first and foremost, to our students that may have some challenges at home. So provided with access to a safe and structured environment for our students with seasoned professionals that have worked with their students before. And I want to thank Miriam. She's done a good job of really, tailoring the OSEA staff to certain grades that have already had a chance to interact with each other. So that way there's a more seamless introduction to this program starting on Monday. And then high level, which we'll dive into a little bit deeper with regards to the schedule, but high level, the daily program would basically run starting as early as 7:30 for arrival. And we'll dive deeper into the times here, so I'm not gonna add any more, but 7:30, we can start welcoming students to the OSEA, the main campus at the playground. And then of course for TK through 5th grade, the bell would ring at 11:50, and then for middle school at 1:40. All right, I'm gonna toss it over to you.
Okay. So our daily schedule is beginning at 7:30 a.m. That's when our doors open. The entrance will be through the back off of Sycamore. Students will begin arriving at this time. Their temperature will be taken while they are in their car. And if it is above 100.4, then they will not be able to stay for that day. They will be asked to go home. Everyone inside the car, everyone who's in the car must be wearing a face mask while the temperature is being taken for our staff safety. If the temperature is acceptable, then they may enter the school building through the purple gate. Breakfast will be available during this time. Students may grab their breakfast and go wait outside, go sit outside in the playground in their designated spot while it is time to be taken inside. If they're walking to school, then they will wait by the cones to be screened. By 8 a.m., students will gather their belongings and begin entering class. They will throw away any trash they had and wash their hands if they had breakfast at one of our new hand washing stations that will be placed all throughout our playground. Classes will begin entering the building one at a time in order to maintain social distance. And by 8:05, any students who have not been screened off of Sycamore entrance, they will be considered a late arrival and will have to enter through the front office. They will go through the same screening process. However, parents will have to wait with the student while they are screened to make sure the temperature is acceptable. And this is why it's extremely important, especially during our first couple weeks, for you guys, if possible, to be early. But anytime between 7:30 and 7:45 would be ideal, because this will really give us a chance to take everyone's temperature and make sure they get something to eat, have them get acquainted with their new staff, as well as making sure that, since it's a new process for everyone, that we get everyone through in a timely manner. So continuing with our daily schedule, by 8:10 is when Zoom classes start. 8:10 to 11:50 is for TK through 5th grade. So as students walk into the class, they will be given hand sanitizer and they will go straight to their desk. Each desk has a plastic divider for extra protection, which you can see the picture here on the screen. That's what the dance room is set up right now. Students will remain at their desk throughout the entire class time to ensure social distancing. During class breaks, they may use the restroom one at a time. This can also be a good time for them to stretch. Students may work on homework, reading, or may work on a puzzle or other independent activity at their desk while they have a break. Students will keep all their belongings with them at all times. There will be no sharing of any materials. And another thing to remember is to bring their own water bottle, as all of our water fountains are closed right now or turned off. And then here, as you can see our picture, this is our dining hall right now, set up with our social distancing stickers on the floor, which are all over our school now. So dismissal is at 11:50 for TK through 5th grade and 1:40 for our middle school students. When class is over, students will gather their belongings, go outside to the playground to their same spot they were at arrival. They will go to the same spot for dismissal. Dismissal will begin at 11:50, and the latest a student can be picked up is 12:15 for TK through 5th. At 12:15, any student who is not picked up will be taken to the front desk to call home. And for middle school students, dismissals at 1:40. Any student not picked up by 2 will be taken to the front desk to call home. Safety procedures. So our first safety procedure, and probably the most important at this time, is the 12:2 student to teacher ratio. There's only 12 students, which is less than half than normal students or regular class time is. And the 2 staff is in order to prevent any mixing of cohorts. So that way, if one staff member has to be out for whatever reason or is out sick, there's another staff member who has already been a part of that cohort, and there's no need to mix any other student or any other staff member with that cohort. The 6-foot distancing throughout campus, as I mentioned, we're following that all over the place. There's also directional signage posted throughout high traffic areas to safely guide students. Sanitation, the maintenance crew is actively disinfecting high traffic and common areas. And beginning on Monday, we'll also be spraying every 30 to 45 minutes with our electrostatic sprayer. Masks will be required of everyone throughout the day, unless a doctor's note is provided, in which case a face shield will be worn. And we have new hand washing stations, as you can see on the screen, that are all over campus, that will be outside and throughout the school, as well as sanitizing stations that are all over campus. So our cohort staff and classrooms. Ms. Reynoso will be with TK Kinder in room 107. Ms. Leadham and Ms. Dries are with first and second in room 117. Ms. Gonzalez and Ms. Flores, first through third in the dance room. Ms. Galeana and Ms. Rivera are in room 203, and they have 4th and 5th grade. And Mr. Barrios is with middle school in room 205. So this next part is very important, and it's a little bit long and confusing. So if you have any questions, please write them down, add them to the chat box. I want to make sure that everyone feels really comfortable with all of the following information. So what happens if a student is not feeling well? Well, if a student is not feeling well, please keep them at home. That is our first line of defense. You as parents is monitoring your children, making sure you are observing them day to day. Obviously, if you see that something's not right or something's a little off, keep them home. If the symptoms resolve, then you may return to school 24 hours after the symptoms have resolved. And if a student is not feeling well while they're at school, the staff will assess the symptoms. And if it's a COVID-related symptom, they will be escorted to the health office, and parents will be contacted immediately to come and pick them up. If the symptom resolves within a day, again, the student may return after 24 hours after the symptom has resolved. If a student has multiple symptoms, a healthcare provider must be contacted and the student must be assessed. A doctor's note must be provided showing it is safe for student to return 24 hours after the symptom has resolved. If the healthcare provider refers a student to get a COVID-19 test, then they may only return either after receiving results for a negative COVID-19 test and all symptoms resolving, or if a student receives a positive COVID-19 test, then they must quarantine for 10 days and all symptoms must resolve before returning. If a student has been exposed to someone with COVID-19, they may return to school after 14 days from their last contact, unless symptoms develop. If symptoms develop, then they must perform the COVID-19 test and follow the steps for whatever the results indicate. So this diagram here is something I'm going to be sending this by email to all of our parents, and it'll be posted on our website as well. And it's a student decision tree. So they classify the symptoms as low risk or high risk. These low risk symptoms are fever, congestion, runny nose, nausea, vomiting, diarrhea, sore throat, headache, fatigue, muscle or body aches. And the high risk symptoms, the cough, difficulty breathing, loss of taste or smell. So like I mentioned, if you have one of the low risk symptoms, you go home, return to school 24 hours after symptom resolves. If you have 2 or more of these low risk symptoms or one of the high risk symptoms, then you would be sent home. and you would be asked to be evaluated by a healthcare provider. Okay, and again, we will be posting this and sending this to you guys as well. But really getting to know this, being familiar with this, and getting to know your children, and also, you know, yourself. If you have been exposed, then your child by default is exposed as well. If you're not feeling well and you're having a lot of these symptoms, then we suggest keeping kids home until it resolves, until you feel better as well. Because at the end of the day, we really all have to take care of each other, and taking care of ourselves really helps us take care of each other and keeping each other healthy and safe. So COVID-19 symptoms again: fever above 100.4, a cough, shortness of breath or difficulty breathing, chills, repeated shaking with chills, fatigue, muscle pain, headache, sore throat, congestion or runny nose, nausea or vomiting, diarrhea, and new loss of taste or smell. So important things to remember: home screen first. And again, that means you guys as parents helping us out and checking your children at home, making sure that you see them, you know, healthy and feeling well. And if you have access to a thermometer, take their temperature at home. Also, please bring all necessary materials for class. If your student does not have the following items, they will not be allowed to stay, and that's their fully charged Chromebook or tablet, a charger in case they need that, in case their technology needs a charge, earphones because they will be in a classroom with other students who are in different teachers' classes. They can't just have the volume up, they need to have earphones on. A water bottle, since our water fountains are closed, a face mask, and I would suggest adding extra face masks in their backpack and in their bag or something in case one rips or they lose it or for some reason it, you know, it breaks or something. It's good to have some extras, as well as a book or a quiet independent activity that they can do during their breaks. So next steps: waiver, which we will be sending to you via email as well, and let's say a follow-up. Again, we'll be emailing you more information as we come. And again, this is a new process for all of us. We're all learning. So if you have any questions, please contact us. If you have any questions right now, feel free to unmute yourself or add them to the chat box. Okay, any questions? Preguntas? Okay. And again, you feel free to email me or call me. I'm available all the time. And anyone here on campus can always direct you as well to either myself or to someone else who is able to answer your questions. Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead and unmute yourself. ¿Puede quitarse el silenciador?
Si quieres, yo se lo quito. A ver. Go ahead.
I have a question. I work until like 3:30. What's the latest we could leave our children there? Like if I could probably get out like at 12:30 on my lunch, would that be a problem?
And you said your child was
second grade.
Second grade.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, go ahead, Miriam.
Sorry, for second grade they get out at 11:50, and so the latest they can be picked up is 12:15.
12:15.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, at the moment, we don't have the resources, the staffing to have a longer program. And so for the moment, this is kind of our jump start to all this. As we have more resources and more staffing available, then we could potentially add more hours, but 12:15 would be the latest.
And I have your email, I think. So just if you can send me an email, just so we can just problem solve with you on the side, just to see how we can support you based on your need, right?
Because I know he does really need it. Because I'm not home, so he's not even trying. I like at home, it's like he's not even trying. So he does need to go in. So
okay. Yeah, we'll reach out.
Sorry.
Sorry to kind of belabor this, but we can reach out to you tomorrow. I've got your email, and Miriam, we can brainstorm tomorrow.
Okay.
On these type of questions.
Yeah, and I was going to say one thing that another parent actually mentioned, they were reaching out to one of their students' friends from their class that's going to be on campus as well. So if you know any other students, your kids' friends who might be coming as well, if you want to reach out and whether it be, a carpooling thing or maybe helping each other out to, pick them up for the time being. I might suggest if you did see anyone that you know or recognize, then reaching out to maybe a friend.
Okay.
So yeah,
Okay.
we'll
Yeah, I'll try that.
tomorrow as well.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Anybody else? ¿Alguien más?
I just had I'm kind of in the same boat with not being able to pick them up and us working. My husband was able to find the YMCA aftercare on 17th and Prospect. They had spots, so I don't know if you want to check that out. But we're still in the issue of getting them from school to there, so we still have that problem.
Do you know if the YMCA offers shuttle opportunities?
They said they wouldn't pick them up.
Okay.
I know, we were hoping there would be something. So yeah.
Yeah, and again, if you can email Miriam, because we want to be able to track this too, right?
Okay.
So,
Definitely.
and like I had mentioned earlier, is we're starting at one point and we just got to keep iterating and growing from there, right? These are tough times, and we're all working together to learn together.
Little by little, we'll get there.
Yeah. Yes. Thanks.
Well, thanks for joining. Gracias por reunirnos hoy.
Thank you so much.
All right, we'll be in contact, and tomorrow Miriam will be sending out some information with the recording, this information, because it's a lot of information for all of us to retain, right? So we want to make it easy for you.
Okay.
Thank you so much. Have a great
Thank
day.
you all.
Thank you all. Thanks.
Thank
All
you.
right.
Thank you.
Buenas noches.
Bye.
Good night.
That's nice.